What's up? It's Saturday. Julie's in St. Louis. She's been there since Tuesday. So Kobe and I are just hanging out. It's 66 degrees out here in Colorado. A little cloudy, a little overcasty. But Kobe's loving it. He's been super hyper last couple days. So I'm glad we get to get outside and take a big old dookie. But I won't show that, except I probably will. Anyway, today we're just kind of chilling, just Kobe and I. I'm gonna work on the truck here in a little bit. Going to take off those plastic yellow door trim molding pieces on my truck. Should be pretty easy. Shouldn't take too long. And other than that, I don't really know what we're gonna do. We may go on a walk. We may just putz around the garage or something. So, but yeah, Julie's in St. Louis and she said she's going to make a video of her whole St. Louis trip. So I don't think I'll have anything of hers. This video will just be me and Kobe. So just a boys video for this one. But that's okay. We don't need Julie. We can survive without her, even though she thinks that we can't. In other news, well, we bought a car. Just not the car that you guys know about. So this week, I bought a car for me to play around with. I'm not gonna say what it is yet. We'll just have to wait till it gets here. I had one of these in the past, well, my dad did, and I really liked it, and I found a really good deal on another one, so I bought it. Don't know when it'll be out here yet, probably a couple weeks. I'm actually gonna have to fly into St. Louis to get it, or get my dad to get it out here or something. So more coming on the secret car. But we also ordered a car from CarMax. There was a Hyundai Sonata in Wisconsin that pretty much met all of our needs. I wish we could have gotten the Genesis, but that whole title thing still wasn't panning out, and we didn't want to keep waiting. So we found a good Sonata, a 2015 limited with pretty much everything that we wanted and quite a bit more, with low miles and all that good stuff. So CarMax is shipping that out today. We actually just got the email that says it has shipped and will be here within like 2 weeks. And then once they get it to Colorado Springs, they're gonna like give it the once over and clean it and all that type of stuff. We have not officially paid for it yet, but we paid for the transfer. So unless something's really, really wrong, it's gonna be the car that we get. So that's awesome. I'm excited to be done with this and to finally have a good car for Julie to drive. Not that her Jeep was bad, but this will be a lot better. I think she'll like it a lot more. And with the current high gas prices, you know, with my truck only getting 12 miles a gallon on a good day, it'll help me with my drives to work on the days that I take it to work, because Julie only has like probably a less than 2 mile drive round trip, where mine's probably about 20 round trip. So, you know, in my truck, that costs me like $8 to drive to work right now. But in this new car, it'll cost less than $4, probably like $3. So anyway, more coming on the car stuff, on my surprise car, on Julie's Hyundai Sonata. But for now, we will just, we'll cut over to me working on the truck and removing those moldings. I'll kind of go through the process and probably do a time lapse or something. All right, so here's what we're doing. Get these moldings, trim pieces on all 4 doors. You can see they're yellow and gross, just discolored. And they don't really do anything. Part of it's styling. The other part of it is to help with like door dings, because those are plastic, so they'll absorb a door ding a lot better than, you know, the metal that's the door. So you can actually see, here's the passenger side. It's not as faded. It's a lot more white still. If the driver's side still looked like that, I would maybe keep them. But since the driver's side looks like this, Maybe better in the shade to see. It's just ugly and not needed. So we're gonna take them off. It should be pretty easy. I have a heat gun that I'm going to lightly heat them up. Bought this on Amazon last year when I installed the stereo system on the truck. So we'll heat up the molding. We should be able to just kind of just pry it back, pry it off. Got a little toolkit here to help me get like under it and pull it out, or to pull them off. I also know you can like get some string and like get it behind there and just kind of pull it back, which will separate it from the adhesive that's behind it. But we're gonna try the heat gun method first. I think it'll work the best. And then once the molding's actually off, we'll have to go back and remove the adhesive that's left over. 3M makes a buffing wheel that should make that pretty easy. I didn't do that. It was like 40 bucks. I don't think it's gonna be necessary, but lunch. Edit that out. I get everything off. I want to go in and wax it and buff it, which is why I bought this guy last week that you guys saw. So once we're done, we'll use this to wax and buff. Probably won't do it this week or on this video, but that's coming soon, and I'll walk through that process too. All right, so as you guys saw, that came off really easy. Once I got it started here, it really just came straight off. I probably didn't even need the heat gun. One thing that kind of sucks though is we look like this bottom side. Looks like the adhesive strip, the like dual-sided tape, just kind of stayed on the car where the top side came off. But I think using our tools here, I kind of got some going here. It should scrape off relatively easy. We just want to make sure we don't, gouge the paint. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take this back one off, and then we'll try to clean it all off. Easy peasy. Probably took a total of 5 minutes to get both front and rear door off. So not too bad. Like I said, you probably didn't need the heat gun. The rear door I definitely needed. It was definitely nice to get started. The rear door seemed to be a little more tacky, I guess. But one of the things I've always hated about these also is you can see how just filthy it is behind it. This is all just dirt that just got trapped in there. Shouldn't be too detrimental to the paint. We should be able to clean it up real good. Like you can see, like this paint looks nice. Granted, this paint here is just dirty. But once we buff it and clean it, it'll start to look really good. So, all right, so now I'm just gonna take these tools here that I have and just kind of scrape along the edges. This top side seems pretty easy. But this bottom side I think is going to take a little more time and a little more due diligence, but even still, it doesn't look that bad. Once I get most of the old tape off, I'll probably wash the car. All right, well, my phone just overheated. It was in the sun and recording, but I went through, I actually changed out to the wider blade, I'll call it. That made it a lot easier to get this big row off here. So I got all the big chunks off now. Give it a quick wipe down with some water to try to get off some of the surface dirt, because I don't want to rub that into the paint. I mean, you're bound to scratch, you're clear coat a little bit, but that's why at the end you should go back through and give it a good buff and and wax. So I'm trying to clean this up from a dirt level perspective, then we'll get that goo gone and try to clean up all the residue that's left, because you can see it's really just on like the top edge here. There's just a little bit left over. I couldn't get off. The bottom on both front and back door came off a lot smoother though. So haven't touched the passenger side yet. I want to make sure I get the process down first before I break both sides. And like I said, this side, it's not yellowed. So why break it prematurely if it turns out I'm doing this wrong? So all that was just surface dirt. So this is really what we're left with. A little bit of residue and a little bit of, but as I was wiping it down, can you see that? Let's see. If you just buff it a little bit, see that top row there? Coming right off. So, a little elbow grease, we'll be good to go. All right, I'm gonna dry that off, dry off the panel, get the goo gone, different microfiber. Let's see how clean we can get this. Okay, I think the buffing wheel may have been a little bit easier than what I'm doing, but we'll see. Still don't know if it's worth the $40, but let's keep going. All right, well, it's not going very well. I'm getting a lot of it off, but you can see there's still just like this junk there. Even with the goo gone, it's not coming off. So I really don't want to go get that buffing wheel, which I've heard will do this, because it's just $40. It just seems like a lot for what it is, but I mean, I'm in it now. I got to finish it, so I'm not too worried about this. This should get cleaned up when I polish it and get the buffing pad. But yeah, I think I'm gonna clean up, run to O'Reilly or wherever they sell that, get it. I know they sell it at Harbor Freight. Yeah, let's go get the buffing wheel and we'll be back. All right, just got back. Ended up going to O'Reilly's and they had, I think, what I'm supposed to get. So here's what I got. It's called an eraser wheel. Looks like it's basically just a hunk of a semi-hard rubber that says it's supposed to remove vinyl stickers, adhesive decals, blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna give this a shot, see how it works. All right, so I think this is gonna work. I did the front door here. I got pretty much all of it off. The wheel kind of flakes off as you use it, which seems to happen kind of fast, a little faster than what I would hope, but it did get it all off. And I think these last lines I'm just gonna have to get when I buff the whole car. But yeah, this does seem to work, makes it a lot easier to get off. I just think that if you do this, you're gonna have to buff your car when you're done to get all this stuff off, and maybe semi-aggressively depending on how long this molding's been on your car. So anyway, I'll set up a camera to watch me get this adhesive off the back door, and I'll probably go to the All right, so pretty much all the adhesive is off now. It's not sticky. It's just not smooth yet. Both the lines are still pretty there, but like I said, I think once I buff it out, it'll smooth out. So, and of course, I didn't buy the buffing pads yet. So I have to run to Harbor Freight so I can get that done today. It's only like 3 o'clock and it's still really nice out. It's still pretty early, so I may run to Harbor Freight just so I could finish this, because as Julie says, once I start something, I got to finish it. And for this video, I think it'd be cool to have the entire process. The big problem is that I was not planning to wash the truck today. Instead of want to, I was hoping the process I just did would get it off enough And really, if I don't do it today, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't look the best, but it's a process and I don't really care. So I don't know, let me think about it and we'll see what I come up with. I just did some research and I'm gonna finish this whole thing today. I don't have a watch on, but I'm gonna look at my wrist like I know what time it is. It's like 3 o'clock. I can get the passenger side off into the same state as the driver's side in probably 30 minutes, I bet, maybe 45. So I'm gonna do that really, really quick. So both sides match, at least at the same phase. And I'm gonna run to Harbor Freight and they have everything that I need. I wish I didn't have to go to Harbor Freight, not because I don't like Harbor Freight, but because I can get it cheaper from online. Actually, Harbor Freight may end up being cheaper because the sizes of the polishes and cutting compound are larger. So it may actually save money in the long run. So I'm gonna knock out this passenger side and then we're gonna go to Harbor Freight and we're gonna finish this. All done with this side. Definitely use the heat gun when you're removing the molding itself, but you can see with that eraser reel, it looks just like the other side now. So the eraser reel is great. I think it's way overpriced. I guess I gotta clean up a little bit right there with that wheel, but I think it's expensive because I'm already halfway through it and that thing costs 30 bucks, but it's okay. It's the right tool for the job. So anyway, I'm gonna run to Harbor Freight, get the discs for my new orbital polisher. That's a hard one. And we'll be back. Should be done with this whole process. Cleaning those spots with like normal soap, polishing, cutting it and polishing it in, I'm gonna say 3 hours because it always takes longer than we think. And it's currently 4 o'clock. So yes, I was right. To do that one side took about an hour. Probably could have done a little bit faster, but roughly an hour, maybe 45 minutes. We're back. Went to Harbor Freight. They had everything that I needed. They were out of the Warrior brand of the polishing pad. So they had the cutting pad in the Warrior brand, which is, this pad was like $6.80, but they didn't have the polishing pad in Warrior. So I had to go with the more name brand Bauer. I think this was like $10. And this one I wasn't quite sure the correct one to get, so I just got the most fine one, the least coarse. And this was like $10. So they had that, that's good. So we'll use the cutting pad first with the Ultra Pro Speed Compound, basically just a cutting compound. All this type of stuff does is just acts as a lubricant, so that way the pad can actually get in there and smooth it all out and get rid of any junk that's in there. I probably should have gotten a clay bar as well because it's not as clean as I wish. I just washed the sections with some Dawn soap to get rid of any wax or anything that's there. Definitely cleaned up quite a bit, but I'm really banking that cutting pad and the cutting compound will get rid of all this. A little bit of discoloration too. It's a little bit yellow. I'm really hoping it'll get cleaned up from this compound. So I was also hoping that, and I think I could fix it. This edge here, it's above the paint, so I can definitely get it out. I'm not sure how much more time I should spend on it though. Again, I'm really banking on really banking on this cutting process and polishing process to really clean this thing up. Overall, you know, from 10 feet away, I think it looks a lot cleaner. Hopefully I can get it all cleaned up. I'm gonna dry it really, really quick, and then we'll start cutting. All right, you don't need much, but since the pad is fully dry right now, I'm gonna add a little bit more than what you normally need. As you start to use it, it'll move around the pad. That's probably way too much, but I'll spread out around the car, and let's see what happens. And we're done. It's not the best, but I think it's pretty decent. It is a 20-year-old truck. So here's the passenger side. I mean, that's pretty good for 20-year-old paint. You really can't even tell that it was here unless you really, really look. You can see a little bit right there. That's all right, because you look at the rest of the truck and there's blemishes all over it. But I think it looks pretty good. Oh, look at that. That looks great. Driver's side needs a little more attention. That's all right. Good round one. Really the worst one's the driver's side back door, rear door. Just because I just couldn't get this off, so I'll have to keep working on it. But even still, I mean, the paint looks great. That reflection's awesome. So there's freshly polished versus not. Actually, up there looks pretty good too, for not polishing it or anything. Actually, I didn't even wash it. So, all right, I'm gonna end this here. If you made it this far, thank you. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe, comment if you have any questions or things I should do better, or if you have any ideas about what I should do to get that crap off. And we'll see you guys later.